Hello, welcome Dr. Sushma Singh this side. Today in Unit 26, Changing Roles of Media and ICTs in Employment. We are going to start our lecture with the topic Mass Media and Globalization. During the 1980s, new technologies transformed the world of media. Newspapers were written, edited, and printed at distance, allowing for the simultaneous edition of the same newspaper to be published from different parts of the world. Radio became increasingly specialized with the thematic and sub-thematic stations. VCRs exploded all over the world and became, in many developing countries, a major alternative to official TV broadcasting. Also, it provided a great deal of flexibility in the use of visual media. There has been a decisive change in the nature of mass media with the multiplication of television channels. This process has been facilitated by a worldwide trend towards deregulation and privatization of the mass media, which was till then largely under the control of the state. Development of cable TV technologies fostered in 1990s by fiber optics and digitalization, and of direct satellite broadcasting dramatically expanded the spectrum of transmission and put pressure on the authorities to deregulate communications in general and television in particular. The development of cross-border TV stations accelerated powerfully at the end of the 1980s due to the globalization trends that were manifested all over the world. The boom in satellites, the proliferation of installed bases of dish antennas over vast regions of the world, progress in miniaturization of TV control rooms, cameras, and small scale transmission stations that drastically reduced the distance and time in transferring communication widely led to the success of the cross-border TV transmissions. Cross-border TV networks reach millions of homes around the world via cable network or collective or individual reception of satellite signals. CNN is a channel which best embodies the instant global worldwide status of TV. This channel today can reach every region around the world via a network of satellites covering the whole planet. The growth of global mass media firms has been fueled by a parallel move towards deregulation and privatization of mass media organizations. This is most clearly evident in the broadcasting sector, which in many countries of the world had been maintained as a non-profit public service or as state-supported entities. As the forces of capitalism and entrepreneurship have emerged as the dominant models of economic organization, the state has receded as a regulator of the marketplace. This development has allowed the global media giants to enter into partnerships with the dozens of national mass media firms around the world to produce, provide, and disseminate news and entertainment to domestic markets. Advances in satellite broadcasting has secured the presence of the giant mass media firms in the cultural and information marketplace of every region of the world. Perhaps the most significant development of the last 2 decades in the international communication is the increasing concentration of mass media ownership within and across national borders. Concentration of mass media ownership has had two significant implications for the way news are assembled and disseminated worldwide. First, concentration of ownership and privatization of mass media has been accompanied by commercialization of news and other cultural products, a trend that is characterized by aesthetic, technical, and professional standardization at the global level. Second, alliances between the international media moguls such as Rupert Murdoch and forces of political conservatism have led to increasingly soft media content. These phenomena are part of the process of globalization. Currently, there are 5 major corporate players in international mass communication. These giants are New Corp, Disney, Cap Cities, Time Warner, Viacom, and TCI. In addition, two other mini giants, General Electric and Washington House, have global ambitions. Of these 7 firms, all but Viacom and TCI have major news components. News Corp is the owner of or the significant partner in newspapers, television stations, and satellite broadcasting system, including Star TV and Sky TV around the world. Disney Capcities owns ABC Times. Warner's recent acquisition of Turner Broadcasting, which created and owns CNN, gives it a major international presence in news gathering and dissemination. General Electric owns NBC and Westinghouse owns CBS. All of these mega corporations but one are based in the United States. News Corp is based in Australia. With the proliferation of a variety of channels and programs in television networks, experts opine that there is a evolution from mass society to a segmented society because the new communication technologies focus more on diversified, specialized information, and hence the audience becomes increasingly segmented by ideologies, tastes, and lifestyles. Now let us move to the next point, the impact of mass media on the social cultural life of people. Television, like other media of mass communication, is an integration of technology, culture, commerce, and politics. As a cultural product using audio-visual codes, it projects the cultural values of their producers and the social reality in which they are produced. It is argued that the viewing television is not merely an act of consumption, but is a rather complex process of decoding cultural meanings. This increased internationalization of media has had an impact on the economic, socio-cultural and political spheres of society, which created imagined societies. By the 1990s, several scholars of the globalization had begun to address consumption and the formation of the transnational consumption communities as key issues and foci for media study. The post-1990s period witnessed an onslaught of transnational television, also referred to as international satellite broadcasting, television without border, cross-border television, trans-border television, global television, or satellite television. This led to a unique process of communication where, though most audiences were located within the confines of one country, the media became transnational, creating transnational audiences. Varied concepts like cultural dependency, cultural imperialism, media imperialism, communication imperialism, electronic colonization, etc., came into being. All these concepts dealt mainly with the flow of transnational television programs from the West to the other parts of the world. McLuhan's visualization of the global village also was inspired by the penetration of alien culture into local regional culture, mediated by this process of internationalization of mass media. His version of global village was the first substantial attempt to analyze the profound impact of internationalization of cultural techniques on various dispersed societies, which are exposed to the same signals and messages. His view inspired the vision of an unknown transformation of cultures and societies into a global village, a new cultural space of sameness and uniformity. In recent decades, technological developments have triggered a new complexity and diversity of globalization, not only of the global culture, which is still today the central topic of the sociological globalization debate, but also of political communication. Notion of the global public sphere, a new dimension of the globalization process, had gained a new awareness since September 11, 2002. In the public spheres, there also arose private and individual spheres. The internet, following Manuel Castell's argument, has increased the dynamics and complexity of the political globalization process and has created a new global network society, or what he calls networked individualism. To him, although media have become indeed globally interconnected and programs and the messages circulated in the global network, we are not living in a global village but in customized cottages globally produced and locally distributed. Appadurai also argued that the central problem of globalization is the dialectic tension between cultural homogeneity and heterogeneity, a dilemma perpetuated mainly by media. Today's dialectic tension invariably affects life words. There is also a growing belief that the spread of culture through mass media is unbalanced and thus has led to the term cultural imperialism being applied in society. Tomlinson defines cultural imperialism as the use of political and economic power to exalt and spread the values and habits of a foreign culture at the expense of the native culture. Cultural imperialism theory suggests that one culture exports cultural products to another society with the goal of eliminating native cultural representations and replacing them with the alien representation, which in turn are supposed to and transform the culture so that it loses its autonomy and becomes assimilated into the global capitalist world system. In many ways, it arises out of the critique of media and ideology from people like Herbert Marcuse. For Marcuse and the others, the media are used as the instrument to promote the ideology of the ruling classes and to perpetuate the false consciousness of the masses. While they argue that electronic media are a threat to indigenous people by making them give up their traditional customs, rituals, and practices in favor of new technology, undermining the strong oral characters of indigenous societies. Some scholars argue that television, radio, and other electronic media are allowing indigenous people to reassert themselves on the global stage and have their voices heard. Here we want to close this lecture. Thanks for listening.